Who is Ororo Monroe? Dear comic connoisseurs, coming up with a quick, catchy soundbite of an introduction for this larger-than-life personality might prove too difficult, even for yours truly. On the streets of Cairo, she was an exceptional pickpocket in the rural settlements that border Kenya and Tanzania. She was worshipped as a goddess of the harvest. She has been the queen of Wakanda, the regent of Cairo, an X-Man and an Avenger, a weather witch. But this morning, live from the city of Atlanta, Georgia, she dons the unmistakable regalia and title of the hero known as Storm. The chatter on the streets and the whispers in the superhero space we might be expecting to see the grand opening of the newly erected behemoth of a building, the Storm Sanctuary. Since the fall of the mutant nation of Krakow, an instance of mutant acceptance has never been this high. Owing largely to the heroic actions of Storm in Oklahoma City, it is not a stretch of the imagination to assume that Ororo Monroe will strike while the iron is hot and capitalize on this great opportunity to announce her much-rumored interest in running for Congress. Just before entering the massive doors, Storm inhales, then exhales. And here she is, ladies and gentlemen, and all peoples, we have Storm. With her announcement, Atlanta now, at this very second, the world was about to become a radically different place. Oklahoma City, 7 days ago. And like many monumental moments, a destructive shockwave erupts as it started with a bang. When Storm was but a child, the screech of combustion ripped her home into shards. The heat from its fires made an oven of the crumbled concrete. This is horrible, Storm. It'll be a miracle if anyone survived, says Frenzy. This was a scene very much like the one that took Storm's parents from her. It is truly heartbreaking, Frenzy, but that is why we're here, to perform miracles. Why? Why are the streets so empty? Surely not everyone in the city is trapped under rubble, says Storm. I can call in the rest of my X-Factor teammates. Suddenly, Frenzy looks over her shoulder, startled as she says, "Shockwave incoming at 3 o'clock." Without hesitation, Storm soars into the air as Frenzy says, "Sure, you got this." "Always," responds Storm. "Step back and shield the young one with your bodies," orders Storm. "Don't worry, Claire. Everything will be all right. Mom and Dad are here," says the father. Years ago, mortar, wood, and steel made an orphan of Storm. On this day, the orphan saves a family from the same fate. "Storm, another incoming shockwave," says Frenzy. "I'm on it," says Storm. "Can you walk or do you need my help getting up?" says Frenzy. "I'm sorry. Please, don't hurt us, please," said the frightened man, with his little daughter on his side. A surprised Frenzy says, "Orchis?" identifying the man as a known member of Orchis. Storm tells Frenzy to snap out of it. "We save everyone, Frenzy." Storm and Frenzy continues to save a multitude of civilians. "Another shockwave is coming." Storm frantically looks at the shockwave. When two waves exactly the same yet opposing fold into each other, they both cease to exist. For every approaching shockwave, Storm shudders the air molecules around her with such precision that the advancing threat is nullified. This time, however, was different. Concealed within the shockwave was suddenly a sharp piece of branch from the surrounding flora. It sinks deep into Storm's shoulder. This was our universe's first attempt at taking Storm's life. As she pulls the wooden shard out of the joint of her shoulder, she falls to one knee. Frenzy runs over to Storm in concern. As the blood drips from Storm's mouth, she freezes the molecules in the air to tend to her wound. If you pay close enough attention, you will witness many more until you see the one that finally succeeds. I understand now why the streets were empty when we arrived. We need to stop these shockwaves. First, Storm conjures a massive bolt of lightning and whirlwinds. As Frenzy says, "Holy ish! You're still bleeding? We need to get you some medical attention ASAP. Jeez, don't die on us, Storm." Once again, Storm lifts off and soars through the air like wind and lightning. Saplings forced to let go of their grip on Mother Earth. Aquatic life floats lifeless from the radiation exposure. Innocent creatures turned inside out under the sudden rise of the air pressure around them. The fury of the goddess is icy, freezing retribution. She despises everything this monument to human comfort has caused the ecosystem. But what was within the power plant that seemed much more furious as Storm is blown back by another shockwave. Shockwave incoming. Everyone, get behind me, orders Frenzy. Once everyone is safely behind her, she counters the shockwave with an epic thunderclap. Storm rises to her feet as the well-needed minutes to gather herself from Frenzy's defensive thunderclap puts her back in the game. As she wipes the blood from her mouth, she says, "Let's try this again, shall we?" As though her injuries were not heavy enough. A burden, Storm now showed signs of radiation poisoning. Yet she proceeded onward to find the source of this recursive destruction. This was not the goddess' first dance with death after all. However, rather than finding a failing nuclear reactor spewing toxic venom, Storm found a crying mutant child surrounded by corpses. "I'm sorry, I can't stop myself," says the boy. All mutants of great power know of this day, the day of adolescence for humans. It's often an awkward day in public. A day they swear they almost died of sheer disgrace. The more I try to stop, the worse it gets. Please, please, Storm, kill me. For many mutants, however, it is a day of true dread. Unable to control the birth of new abilities, manslaughter is not as rare as you would expect for this new mutant. On this day, Storm had nothing but bitter empathy. "Enough lives have been lost today, child," said Storm. Fast forward 3 days later. Local news interviews on scene. Cops and scientists were brought over to investigate what could have made our reactor go nuclear. Guess what they found? Dead engineers, murdered students, and a freaking alien kaiju? Of course, the thing that killed them, what were they thinking? Our country is going to crap. I tell you, too lazy to build a decent, what are you gonna call it? Nuclear reactor? Says her friend. Yeah. Why, we gotta borrow from the extraterrestrials. Those freaking creeps try to invade us half the dang time. If the muties were there to save us, it'd be a whole nother story. National tragedy and not, says the saucy lady at the bar. I went on three tours for this country. Afghanistan, Iraq, and the blue area of the moon. I pick up my kid from school with a bruised face, and no one will talk to me. Not the teachers, not the principal. My kid is being bullied just because his good-for-nothing father was one of the alien kaiju engineers. When did it become a crime in this country to be related to a deadbeat dad? Complained the disabled divorced mom at the gym. Another civilian who doesn't want to be on camera complains, "Please, don't. I just love my wife. What else do you want me? You want me? You know what? Screw you." Yes, they use alien tech for the power plant. It worked great for a year. They were supposed to win a Nobel Prize for it. Someone must have sabotaged their work. There's no way that my wife would endanger people's lives. She wouldn't. She loved humanity so much. Another civilian comments, "When you suddenly realize how real the extraterrestrial threat is and how little the government cares about shielding us from the threat, you are suddenly glad that the mutant next door has the power to protect the neighborhood with his eye lasers." Tony Stark, aka Iron Man, scans the kaiju. "I ran all the numbers. I scanned the whole area. These guys are so cutting edge. I'm jealous. I didn't think of it. First, would have loved to ask them just a few questions. Too bad they all went, boom," said Stark. "How many times did you run the numbers?" said Ororo. "I don't ask you how you create indoor rain clouds, Storm," quirks Iron Man. Storm replies, "Seriously, Tony? Sheesh. Close to 1 million scans on multiple machines through various quantum processing units using several algorithms, including some designed by Reed Richards, Lunella Lafayette, Forge, Riri Williams, and your former sister-in-law Shuri. I'm sorry. I know the last thing you wanted to hear was that the birth of a mutant killed all those people in the wake of this tragedy. Mutants are finally looked on as heroes. They are loved. You are loved. But the price has been the reputation of dead engineers," explains Tony. "I know. Tony, I just wanted somebody else to run the numbers to tell me that I was wrong. That mutant child will be hated. If people find out what really happened, they'll be seen as a terrorist. The hatred and the fear will spread to every innocent mutant in the nation. It'll make things so much worse. said Storm. So, Ororo Monroe, you have a call to me. Stay silent and let me just have this win or tell the truth to defend the honor of the deceased. Yikes.